Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. I'm excited to get started. I feel like every single day that I do training, it's a beautiful day out there. I can't remember the last time I looked over and said, well, it's a horrible, muggy day, but let's do this anyways. So I'm always pretty fortunate in this sense. Do me a favor, make sure that I'm turning off the chat thing now, but make sure that you let me know who you are. If you're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or here on LinkedIn with me, let me know your company name, your core competency. And your core competency, try to make it 2 or 3 keywords. Don't tell me everything. Just tell me a couple of things that I start going, oh, that company is this, that company is this. My last company, I was known for SharePoint, right? We were the SharePoint guys. Oh, those are the SharePoint guys. We did all sorts of things that were beyond it. But it was really good because we were memorable, and we literally got contracts where the government buyer would continue to bring us along because they said, oh, you guys this. When something's too long, I just can't consume it. It's not that I don't want to, I just won't, right? So there's a reason Twitter exists at that 140 character. I think it's a little more. Okay, so let me get my ducks in a row here. I got a lot of training to do, so I want to make sure I've got everything lined up just perfect. Okay, I think I'm good to go. I want to start off just actually a quick tip for those of you showing up early and on time. Just as a thank you for those of you doing that, I really appreciate it, because when you come here early, when you engage on the chat and say hi to other people, then LinkedIn pushes this out to more people. So I welcome all of you who are showing up, and here's the tip for success. Remember, sales is sales. It doesn't matter whether it's the commercial market or the federal market. Sales is sales. It doesn't matter whether it's HHS or DoD. I've been doing sales for 30 years. The only time sales might differentiate pretty significantly is when there's transactional sales or solution selling, right? When there's big sales tickets, or whether you're selling something that literally somebody could make a decision right there. For example, if I sold a $99 course, not that I do, but if I sold a $99 course and you saw it, pretty much you're going to buy it right then and there. But if I'm trying to convince you to buy a $100,000 engagement or something, that's going to take you a while to buy, and I need to engage with you, and I need to give you value. Well, when we go into the federal market, it's the same thing. Whether I'm selling to Amazon or Walmart or DHS or Homeland Security, HHS, it's the same thing. And the reason I say this is because when people say that it's different, it's an excuse for why it is hard. But sales is just hard work. Anything worthwhile is hard work. And if you keep in mind that sales is sales, then fundamentally the success to sales is finding the right people to talk to, uncovering their challenges, pain points, and goals, and then beginning to align your solution to it. And it doesn't matter whether it's an Army or Navy or Department of Education, they all have solutions. They all have problems and challenges and goals that they're trying to achieve that your solution might align, right? You might change a little bit of the language, but the sales approach, the sales process is the same. So that's my tip for success for today. Thank you again for showing up early and on time. It really just drives the success of this community, because this is your community. If you struggle with finding federal buyers you can talk with, this training's for you. It really is the hardest thing, I think, that companies face, small businesses and large businesses in any market. And the hardest thing is to get in the door, to meet federal buyers, right? And the federal market's no different than the commercial market in this sense. You're trying to get in the door, talk to buyers. But if you don't know people, then that makes it hard, right? Many times what people are really struggling with is you just don't know whose door to knock on. Maybe you don't even know that the doors exist. Then you don't know the person behind that door, right? Forget about just knocking on it. That's the next problem. The first problem is just finding those people. And that's what I'm going to help with today, right? I really want to provide you tactical tips for finding contact information for federal buyers. And so we're going to be diving into this. I'm going to share some slides and my screen to a degree. I will come back in the chat and engage, but remember, that's your community. So talk with each other there. For today's training about how to find federal buyer contact information, right? Names, numbers, and emails primarily. I'm going to break it up into 3 things. Today is purely tactical. I want to show you how I do this, and it's 30-minute training, right? So I'm going to be diving in pretty fast. This will be a fire hose of information, but I'm going to show you how you can search on the agency websites themselves to find this information, how you can search through some key agency documents. And I'll show you one that, it's this stuff that really frustrates me. It's a cool document. I'll show you as an example, but a lot of us sometimes just keep it to ourselves. And I love finding them and just sharing them out and saying, here, I hope you benefit as well. And then the last thing I'm going to show you, three key federal tools that you can look into that'll help you. So let's dive into that training. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I am the president of GovCon Chamber of Commerce, co-founder of GovCon in a Box, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you, government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow the process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. And this is what I want for you. This is pretty much what I'm going to be teaching you today, right? How do you have repeatable, predictable results of finding names? We call that targeting in the 7-step process for federal revenue success. And so I'm going to be diving into that today. If you have not done so, subscribe to my Government Contracting Success newsletter here. You can see we're almost at 19,000 subscribers. It is the most subscribed to government contracting newsletter because we share information constantly about the sales side of federal government contracting. And so I want you to subscribe to that so you can keep getting more good information. I've got 3 more newsletters coming out, a lot of good information. The other thing is tomorrow, I'm going to be spending all this week looking at sales. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking about how do you find the keywords that federal buyers use when they search for you. This is market research. When the buyers come out, of course, they might use NAICS code or some of these other things, but those are so broad. And so they use keywords to niche down. For example, if they search software development, they'll get 10,000 firms. But if they search Microsoft SharePoint, well, now maybe let's say they got 1,000 firms. And so I want you to learn how to find the top keywords federal buyers use. That's what I'll show you in tomorrow's training. Go register for it. There's well over 100 people already registered for that training, so it'll be a good networking event for you as well. I want to congratulate the newest members of the 100 Club. So in the GovCon in a Box tool set or platform that we have built for you, we have a federal visibility score. And the federal visibility score, 0 to 100, basically says how visible is your company, your small business, to federal buyers. Literally, I was just talking this morning to a government person who was saying even the government struggles to find small businesses. So do what you can to make yourself more visible. Go to govconinabox.com, find out what your visibility score is. It's free. And then I also give you tips for what to do to increase your score up to 100. And all these people, these companies that are here will sit there and tell you that it's a valuable, quick set of tips for you to just increase visibility. So congratulations to C Hill Consulting Group, Tri-Merge Consulting, Scott Pearson LLC, and 80, which I thought was a pretty cool design. I went and looked at your website. Congratulations to these 4 companies who are now have a federal visibility score of 100. Last thing I will tell you about this, there's only 48 companies out of 360,000 companies. Only 48 have full visibility. Go become a member of the 100 Club by increasing your visibility to federal buyers at govconinabox.com. Okay, so I want to, for the rest of the training, I'm going to show you a slide, then I'm going to go in and do the work live. But agency websites are a gold mine for finding people's names, sometimes their phone numbers and emails as well. Sometimes you're just finding their name, and then you go research their phone number and email. On Google is where I always go. That should be your friend, google.com. I guess Bing might be good, but I'm just a Google guy. All right, so searching on an agency website, there's 3 places I'm going to show you today. You could do more, but these are just more than enough to start. First thing is I look at their about page to try to find names. I'll show you that in a second. Then I'm looking for organizational charts. And if I remember, I'm going to search on workforce development so that I can kind of dive into there. And then you look at staff directories, an employee directory of every single person in that agency. It's like you cannot have better gold for finding somebody's information. I get that it might be hard to learn about these, but once you learn, you will have more names than you can call. And so then your next challenge is figuring out the right ones. Okay, so let me go over to the website. And I'm just going to go to HHS and start here. So the first thing I said is about, and none of this is totally planned because sometimes I want you to see me struggle as I go in. But I'm coming into HHS, and as I look at it, I see here HHS family of agencies. So let me maybe dive in. I'm going to dive in and say, you know what? I'm looking for agencies like CDC, et cetera. So I'm just following this thread. You see me just clicking down, and and hopefully it'll kind of pop out. Let me take CDC as, man, where is it? Okay, there it is. So visit CDC. So now I'm popping over to CDC here. Inside of CDC, I can see their leadership. If I just start here, I'm able to start understanding who some of their folks are. These are high-level people, so they're definitely not people I would call at the top. But as I come down, I can start seeing things. Like, see here, I don't know if you can see this, but it's saying Office of the Chief Operating Officer. That seems like one that might lead me to where I might want to go. So I'm going to come in here. Nope, it was a dead end because it just had the staff bio. Let me back up and come back up here, right? And I can follow down into the different institutes that they have. So if I looked at CDC offices, I'm able to start finding all these people down here. These are different offices that I may or may not want to walk into. Let me see. One last thing. I said I was going to search for workforce. Let me see if I can do it right from CDC. So if I search workforce, here, workforce development, right? I don't exactly know where it's at, but this is what I want you to do, is to start coming through and start looking at the workforce development. Here I'm looking at their strategic plans, et cetera. But you can see that when you go into, let me come back to HHS really quick. When you come into an about section on any agency, generally you can follow a leadership tab. Now these leaders are really high up, so it doesn't make sense. But what I do is I start with these type of people, and then I follow the thread. I'm like, if I look down here, let me see if I can find somebody that pops up that's interesting. Okay, so here's CIO. So here's Jennifer Wendell, right? I've got a name. Now I would go off and learn about her on LinkedIn. I would find out more information. I bet you I could follow her thread. This might not lead me there, but I could follow her thread to her office. Well, this is interesting. So OCIO growing leaders. I'm able to come in here. Okay, so this is talking about. This is different folks at different levels. I'm getting a little distracted, but you see my point. I'm able to just follow the about section. But if I was going after that CIO we just looked at, I would just look for that office now. I would come in and say, okay, let me pursue that. The next thing I said was look at org charts, and I didn't want to totally do that. So if I come back here now, let me see if I can find, let me just type org chart, right? So if I just search org chart, so there's, that's terms. Come on. Oh, that's funny. I tried to search. It didn't work for me. Here, I'm going to take HHS's org chart, and I can start coming down, right? And inside of here, let me go back. Let me stick with CDC because even though it kind of bounces around, I'm still going to look at it. So I went into CDC and following, they do have an org chart, though. I just got to find it really quick. Sometimes I do this. Well, I think they're laying out their org chart actually in this direction. So if I find health equity, I got to find something that just looks like I would know what it is. But if I, Office of Communication. Okay, so I clicked into this thing called Office of Communication. Not to say anything bad, but director is not that high a level, which is great. We want to talk to people at, that director level. At CDC, it might be a little different. But in here, I could start learning. So here, I'm looking at this person's just one place, but I would look in to find out the Office of Communication and see if I couldn't find it. Is it going to come up really quick? Nah, it's still, so here it's just this guy, so it just pops up. But my point is, when you go through, and I'll show you another org chart in a second that is higher. Let me take this one here. No thanks, I don't want that. If I come here and look at their org chart, okay, so this one's unfortunately no names. Don't worry, I'll show you a ton of names and org charts in a second. So let me back out of that and go to the last one, which is staff directories. So I'm going to show you three of them that you can do. So the first one I'll just type is NOAA staff directory. And here, if I come into NOAA, I'm able to just type in somebody's name. Now, this is the fun part. What if you don't know their name? And that goes back to the whole idea of, Noah org chart. Let me just take that for 1 second. Go into Noah. And come on. Okay, so to see how this org chart is a little more friendly for my training today because it has all these names. But look right here. I would want to be talking about workforce development and human capital services. Probably makes sense. So the chances of this name, Bashir, let me take that. Oops. If I come back here and I go Bashir, I think I got it. There you go. So there's Hakeem Bashired. There's his email. There's his phone number is a little risky. Sometimes they don't put it down. I've noticed that lately federal agencies don't want to share the phone number because it might, show where somebody lives, et cetera. So they're holding that back. Some have it in there, but you see my point, right? Here's an org chart. I get a bunch of names, and then I can go to Noah's staff directory and find people. I can do the same thing if I say NHS staff directory, right? So if I come in here, let me go to that guy, and it's the same pattern, right? If I was going in and there's, this is perfect. So it's got it. So this one breaks it down in many different ways. But if I come in here, look at this. I'm able to see a whole bunch of people. So say I was in the division of workforce development right there. That was pretty lucky that I got to that. But if I'm able to do it, this case, it looks like they might even have their contact information on there. But I can grab people's names. As I start going in, these staff directories are awesome. Some of them, and let me end with this one, HHS staff directory. This one's gold. I didn't even really know this until I did training with you, how much I could kind of go into this. But look at this. Look at this one, right? Say I'm trying to find a small business. Oh, I think I did SharePoint. Right? So I do SharePoint. Here are all these SharePoint people, and I can go in and begin to follow them through. I got names, though, of people who are in there. If I was looking for cyber, right, I'm able to find all these different people. And there's risk management, which would be a great person for me to try to reach out. Some of these people are government employees. Some of them are contract officers. I don't care. I'm looking for names. My job as a salesperson is to build a list of names, not give my boss excuses on why I don't have the names. Well, here we go, and we got it, which is just hugely convenient. I could begin to go into it in a much better way, right? Digging down into the organization, et cetera. So if I said, let me just try human for 1 second. Nah, that didn't really work. But if I did, right, run into a challenge, I'm able to just follow it and keep following these threads down. This is hugely valuable to you when you think about how can you find names of federal buyers that you can reach out and talk to. And when we say federal buyers, I don't mean the person signing the contract. I mean all the people who have the need for your product and services. So the first place, search on agency websites, dig through the about pages and the org charts. And by the way, if you're brand new, don't get in there and get a bunch of names in spam. That's not going to make you a success. It'll just turn you into a pariah, right? But when you're trying to pursue an agency and get in, who are the people in there? How do you find their names and contact information? These are 3 of the ways you can do it. Okay, so let's talk about a different way you can find this. There's 3 that I want to encourage you to look at. One is APBIs, or Advanced Planning Brief to Industry, or something called Industry Day briefing decks. So that's the first one, and I'll show an example of that. Second one is strategic documents. So you can look through strategic plans, and not just the department level strategic plan, but I might find, let's say, data analytic or a data science strategic plan for a department or an agency. And inside there, they might lead me to the people who are in charge of it. This goal or this objective as this person in charge of it. It's like, cool, let me go find them. And hopefully they have a staff directory to make it easy. So strategic documents are a great one. And then another one I want to show you is just huge, are just random documents within an agency. If you begin to consume them, especially if they're like 100, 200 pages, there's going to be gems in there. And so I'll show you one called VA Functional Organizational Manual that I shared out on LinkedIn a long time ago. That is super good. They just updated it in June for 2024. But let me show you first the Industry Day slides. I think this one. So I'll stick with VA for this demo. So this deck has 116 slides. I'm not going to show you individually, but I am just going to page down for you to just get an understanding that if you're trying to get into an agency, whatever your target agency is, begin to talk to them about, hey, do you do briefings to industry? How can I get copies of those decks? Are they virtual events I can attend? Watch how fast we get people's name. Well, right there, Mr. Robert Cantanina is the host. Cantani, no, I screwed it up. I apologize. But there's the first person, right? Coming down, you'll see more people. There's Michelle Foster, part of TAC and head of contracting activity. Boom, right? I can follow who this person is. Maybe I can begin to learn who's direct reports to her. If I come down, right, here's organizational reviews. They talk about where they fit, and then they begin to tell me who the people are. These are contracting officer type people. Here's more of these people. So there was Michelle Foster. Where is she? Right here is Michelle Foster, bottom center. Then you go down. These are industry day slides, right? Here are more people. I'm not just going to call them right away. I am going to figure out when's the right time to talk with them, but I'm trying to figure out who are they and then what's their contact information. So if you keep coming down, forget about the obligation. I don't care. Now look at this. Now I'm starting to get in and I'm getting people's names and numbers. These are opportunities that are forecasted out there with people who are there. And so if I do enterprise key management related type work, then I can think James Rogers and Catherine Pontages are the people I want to talk to, right? But there's name and email. I can find their phone number on the web. More of them in here. If I keep coming down, you'll see one more section right there. So every section as you come down, you start seeing, here's Kurt Delbene. And so these industry day slides are fantastic. I only went down 22 slides and I probably got 20 people already. And this goes like this for the BA all the way down. Sometimes you'll only find 5 people on there. But if you're trying to get into a particular office and there's 5 people, that's 5 people you didn't have before. And it's a really good start. The other way you want to look at it, let me get rid of all of this stuff. Close that, close that, close that, close this. Okay, so this is the one I shared out a long time ago. And this thing is gold to me. It's 315 pages. It was so big I had to chop it up to put it on LinkedIn. But in here, it's not so much the names, but I'm trying to understand an agency. And I'm just going to go fast again through here. If I start coming, well, let me just come back up right here for 1 second because you get an idea. Here, they're talking about the overview, and right away you start seeing how they're breaking their office up. This is not, this breaks it up into each one of the sections. So let me come down again. There's veteran benefit. I'm getting to the veteran health where I kind of live and breathe, right? But in here, you start seeing the different offices that are in there. And if they break it up farther down, you start seeing Vision 10, Vision 14, 12, all these different things, these integrated veteran health cares that are out there. So if I come down here, let me do this again, and I'm going to do this one pretty fast. So if I come down, as I come down, I start seeing, like here's National Cemetery and their org chart, right? It allows me to begin thinking about it. And then as I come down further, I'm able to see their name and activities that they're doing, the things they're trying to get done, right? And each one of these in the VA is there. The reason this is handy, this functional organizational manual, these type of documents are in every agency. They're just hard to find sometimes. But if you can find them, they lay out the way the organizational is structured. So if I meet somebody, let's say a small business professional in there, I can say, look, I'm trying to get to NCA 43F, the human capital management folks for the principal deputy undersecretary of memorial affairs, right? If I know where I'm going, I can begin to get help on who those people are. Or I can take that information out to Google and try to find people there. So when you're trying to get into an agency, one more way that you can find people is these really sophisticated documents. This is a description of organizational structure, the missions, function, tasks, and authorities of the VA. This is only volume 1, right? So you can go in here and dig into it pretty heavily. Okay, so let me come back here to my slides. So that was the second way. Search agency documents. And the third way, just kind of rushing on time here, is if you don't know this, there's 3 tools, and I'll show you all 3 of them really fast. And let me just Dibbins Hub. So let me come in here. If you don't know this, sam.gov, I'll go there really quick, FPDS. Let me start with FPDS, just in case you're new to this. Let's say I'm looking for Contracting officers related to SharePoint. If I wanted to, I could say in the Army, and I could filter this down more, but for the speed here, I just sorted it really quickly, just so you see what I did. I sorted it by date signed right here, and the filter I put on was SharePoint, and the contracting agency is Department of Army. So if I come over here, I can see a bunch of contract orders, etc. And I'm not showing you a lot. I just want to show you one thing. When you click on View, and please have a name, please have a name. When I click on View here, good, thank you. Up in the top right-hand corner, there'll be names. The one that matters the most is approved by, that's the contract officer. There's the person's name of a contract officer who did some kind of purchase with SharePoint. If this was me doing this really, I would dig further to make sure this task order related to what I was doing. But it's Lee McCormick. When I do his email, I get rid of this .w9128 thing because that's just what they use in here. But you can take Lee McCormick, put him into Google, quickly go, oh, that's who they are, right? In 2 seconds, I just found a name. If I spend an hour because I want to get into the Army over next week I want to sit there and call 100 people, I could spend an hour or two today researching it, ready to call next week. All right, so that's FPDS. Top right-hand corner has the KO or contract officer. SAM, if I come into SAM, hopefully you know this already, but I'm just going to quickly show you every single one of these opportunities. Let me just show you notice type, sources sought. Any particular one of these, here's a scrub technician staffing service. Down at the bottom of every one of these opportunities, generally, is a primary point of contact. This primary point of contact, and even the secondary point of contact, these are people related to this. So if you're trying to chase the opportunity, you can try to reach out to them. But more importantly, if I was going to call 100 people next week, these might be 100 people I put together. More often than not, these are contract specialists or people supporting the contracting officer. You might find some duplication in there, but you just found a second set of names. In SAM, the government has these names, and you just need to reach out to them. 80% aren't going to talk to you. They won't even pick up the phone, but 20% will, and that's getting you in the door. The last one I wanted to tell you about is Dibs. This one's a little secret gem for me. It's no longer a secret, but I've told this over and over again, but I feel like people don't know about it. That's the only reason I call this a secret. Is that it's got in here, let's just say, I'm just going to say SharePoint, right? I'm coming in here. This, by the way, this is the Defense Visual Information Distribution Service. And this is where I go to find speeches done by various leaders within the Department of Defense, decks or actual live events that they're doing. I can find it all in here. You can learn later. But what I did is came in here and I said, let me sort by date taken. And now I can start looking at this, and I'm looking for people's names, right? Let me start with this person right here, March civilian in the spotlight, right? So this is Dominique. And if I come in here, so they upload photos and videos and other stuff, but there's an image page. Where did this come from? And in here, there was just this article about how she's a civilian government employee. But in here, I can begin to see she is Marmix SharePoint team leader. If I was doing SharePoint, now I have a point of contact within the Army that I can reach out to that says, hey, can I have a conversation? Can I talk to you about what you're doing? I can begin to get in. This is another great way to find names that are out there. So that one is dividshub.net. So you can see that right there. Hopefully someone will throw that in the chat. All right, let me make sure I'm ending on time. Here's what I want you to remember from today's training. First off, finding names might take you a little time to develop that skill and get good at, but there are a ton of names out there in the federal market for you to get into the federal agencies of your choice. So develop this skill of finding names so it's very easy for you to do it, similar to how I'm doing it. I know I'm doing it very, very fast, but it's a skill you can develop. And when you're ready, you can call them. My tip for you, though, is just because I taught you how to find these names with great power like this comes great responsibility. Only call them when you have value to add to their life, and you can talk to them. Hey, if you're looking for us to help you accelerate your business and you're doing 2 million or more, put workshop in the chat. If you'd like to learn about a BD accelerator workshop we run, it's only for companies got traction already. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, sign up for tomorrow's training about which keywords federal agencies are searching. And as you go through today, remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you in the next training.